office door echoed through the hallway just as Daniel Carter shouted, "Then fire me." Silence followed. For 3 years, Daniel had never raised his voice at his boss. Not once. He had swallowed impossible deadlines, stayed late when everyone else went home, and apologized for mistakes that weren't even his. He had learned to survive Victoria Bennett's sharp words, colder than winter stare, and impossible expectations. But tonight, something inside him had finally broken. Victoria stood on the other side of the desk, her hands clenched at her sides. "You think this is easy for me?" she demanded. "No," Daniel snapped. "I think you don't care." Her expression changed. Just slightly. But Daniel saw it. For the first time. The powerful CEO of Bennett Industries looked less angry than hurt. "You have no idea what I care about," she whispered. Daniel opened his mouth to respond. Instead, Victoria stepped around the desk, grabbed the front of his shirt, pulled him toward her, and kissed him. Daniel froze. The world seemed to stop. For 2 stunned seconds, neither of them moved. Then Victoria pulled away, breathing hard. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Daniel stared at her. "You just kissed me." "I know. During an argument." "I know. You're my boss." "I know that too." Daniel rubbed a hand across his face. "Victoria." Her eyes filled with tears. And suddenly, Daniel realized the woman standing in front of him wasn't the impossible boss he'd spent 3 years trying to understand. She was a woman who was exhausted, terrified, and desperately lonely. 6 hours earlier, Daniel had been sitting at his kitchen table helping his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, finish her math homework. "Dad." "Yeah. Are you happy?" Daniel looked up. Lily was staring at him with the serious expression she used whenever she was about to ask something important. "I think so." "You think so?" Daniel smiled. "I'm definitely happy when you finish your homework without complaining." She rolled her eyes. "That doesn't count." Daniel laughed. He reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Why are you asking?" "Because Mrs. Wilson says people should do jobs they love." Daniel glanced toward the clock. He had 30 minutes before he needed to leave. "I don't hate my job." "That isn't what I asked." Daniel sighed. Children had a way of asking questions adults spent years avoiding. "I like helping people," he finally said. "That's the part one love." Lily smiled. "Then you should do more of that." Daniel kissed the top of her head. "I'll try." He didn't know how important those words would become. At 8 that morning, Daniel walked into Bennett Industries and immediately knew something was wrong. His boss was waiting outside the conference room. Victoria Bennett. 41. Brilliant. Fiercely private. And famous throughout the company for reducing grown executives to nervous stuttering whenever they disappointed her. She looked at Daniel. Conference room. Now. Daniel followed. "What happened?" "The community center project is being cancelled." Daniel stopped. "What?" Victoria continued walking. "The board wants the money redirected. That project serves 300 families." "I know. Most of them are low income." "I know." "Victoria, you personally approved it." She turned. "I know." Daniel stared at her. "Then why are you canceling it?" "Because I said so." That answer infuriated him. He had spent 6 months organizing donations, coordinating volunteers, and helping families get access to food programs, tutoring, and job training. He couldn't simply watch it disappear. "You can't do this." Victoria's eyes hardened. "Careful." "No. I'm serious." "So am I." "You're shutting down something people actually need because some executives want better quarterly numbers." Her jaw tightened. "You're out of line. And you're acting like you don't have a heart." The words landed harder than Daniel intended. Victoria looked away. Then she said quietly, "Meeting's over." Daniel thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. By noon, he received an email informing him that his position was being reviewed. By 3, Victoria had rejected every proposal he'd submitted. By 6, Daniel was furious. And by 7:30, he was standing in her office, ready to quit. "You can't keep doing this," he said. Victoria didn't look up from her laptop. "Doing what?" "Destroying every project I care about." "I've already told you." The board made a decision. "Then fight them." "I can't." "You're the CEO." Her fingers stopped moving. Daniel stepped closer. "You have more power than anyone in this company. You think power means I can do whatever I want?" "Yes." Victoria stood. "You think I don't know what happens to people when I make the wrong decision?" Her voice cracked. Daniel went quiet. She continued. 3 years ago, my husband died." Daniel's anger disappeared. He knew she was a widow, but Victoria never talked about it. "My husband started the community center project," she said. "He believed companies should do more than make money." Daniel swallowed. "I didn't know." "No one does." She walked toward the window. "He died suddenly. Afterward. I kept the project alive because it was the last thing that connected me to him." Daniel's voice softened. "Then why cancel it?" Victoria turned. "Because the company is in trouble." He stared at her. "What kind of trouble?" "The kind that could cost 600 employees their jobs." Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. Victoria walked back to her desk. "The board wants me to cut the project, sell 2 divisions, and reduce staff. And you're refusing." "I'm trying to find another way." Daniel looked at her differently. For years, he'd mistaken her silence for cruelty. Maybe it was survival. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you're my employee. I could have helped." "You have a daughter." Daniel stiffened. Victoria noticed. "I know what it's like to have someone depending on you," she said. Daniel didn't know what to say. Then his phone rang. "Lily." He answered immediately. "Hey, sweetheart." Her voice was small. "Dad." "What happened?" "Grandma says I shouldn't worry you." Daniel stood straighter. "What happened?" "She fell." His heart dropped. "Is she okay?" "They're taking her to the hospital." Daniel looked at Victoria. "I have to go." Victoria immediately nodded. "Go." "But the report." "Forget the report." Daniel hurried toward the door. "Daniel." He turned. Victoria's expression softened. "Your daughter needs you." He left. The next morning, Daniel expected to be fired. Instead, he found Victoria waiting outside the hospital. She was holding 2 coffees. Daniel stared. "What are you doing here?" "I heard your mother was admitted." "How?" "You listed the hospital as an emergency contact location during your benefits paperwork." He looked at the coffee. "You came here." Victoria shrugged. "You looked exhausted yesterday." Daniel accepted the cup. "Thank you." They sat together in the hospital waiting room. For the first time, there was no desk between them. No emails. No deadlines. No titles. Just 2 tired human beings. After an hour, Lily came running down the hallway. "Dad." Daniel stood and hugged her. "I'm here." Lily looked over his shoulder. "Is that your boss?" Victoria smiled. "Unfortunately." Lily giggled. Daniel laughed. It was the first time Victoria had ever heard him laugh like that. Later, while Lily slept beside her grandmother's room, Daniel and Victoria walked to the hospital cafeteria. "You're different," Daniel said. Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "Human." She smiled faintly. "Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation." Daniel laughed. Then Victoria's smile disappeared. "I've been trying to save this company," she said. But I've been doing it alone. You don't have to. She looked at him. I know. 3 weeks later, Daniel presented a proposal to the board. Instead of canceling the community center, Bennett Industries would partner with local businesses and nonprofit organizations. Employees could volunteer during paid community service hours. The center would become a training program, creating internships and workforce opportunities while reducing operating costs. It wasn't guaranteed to work, but it was possible. The board approved it. The project survived. So did the jobs. And Victoria changed. Not overnight. She still demanded impossible things. She still scared executives. But she started saying thank you. She started asking how people's families were doing. And sometimes, she smiled. Months later, Daniel was working late when Victoria entered his office. You're still here. So are you. I have something to tell you. Daniel looked up. Victoria hesitated. I owe you an apology. For what? For making you believe I didn't care. Daniel stood. You care too much. That's the problem. She smiled. Maybe. There was a long silence. Then Victoria stepped closer. About that night. Daniel's heart began beating faster. The kiss. Yes. I remember. I shouldn't have done it. No. I was overwhelmed. I know. She looked into his eyes. And I don't regret it. Daniel didn't move. Victoria. She smiled. I know you're my employee. And you're my boss. I know. That's complicated. Very. So what are we supposed to do? Victoria took a breath. Nothing. Daniel blinked. Nothing. Not until I'm no longer your boss. His eyes widened. You're leaving. No. She smiled. I'm promoting you. Daniel laughed. To what? Director of Community Partnerships. That sounds important. It is. And you're still my boss. No. She stepped closer. I'll be overseeing a different division. Daniel smiled. Convenient. Very. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel said, there's one more problem. What? My daughter likes you. Victoria's eyes softened. I like her too. And she already thinks you should come to dinner. Victoria smiled. Then I suppose I should. Daniel laughed. You're impossible. She tilted her head. Still. Sometimes. Victoria reached for his hand. Then maybe we have something in common. Daniel looked at their hands. For years, he'd believed people were either strong or broken. Victoria taught him otherwise. Sometimes the strongest people were the ones quietly carrying the heaviest pain. Sometimes kindness wasn't a grand gesture. Sometimes it was showing up at a hospital with 2 coffees. Sometimes it was giving someone permission to go home to their child. And sometimes, unexpectedly, it was 2 lonely people discovering that behind all the arguments, all the walls, and all the fear, there was still a little room left for hope. That night, Daniel drove home with Victoria beside him. Lily was waiting at the door. She looked from her father to Victoria and grinned. So, she said, are you staying for dinner? Victoria laughed. I was hoping you would ask. And for the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel like he was simply surviving. He felt like he was finally coming home.